Hi, welcome to the Devan Cohen Show. I have two special guests today, Woodrow Wilson and Seamus O'Rourke. Let's give them a hand. Woo!
Hey!
Welcome to the show. All right, my first question is for you, Seamus. I'm wondering what conditions were like in the city during the 1920s.
Well, as you can presume, they were absolutely awful. There were waste mingling in the street. There's bad conditions.
All right, then, my next question is for you, Woodrow Wilson. I'm wondering the reasons for the U.S.'s entry into the First World War.
The reasons for the U.S. entry into the First World War was primarily submarine warfare, along with the U.S.'s interception of the Zimmerman telegram.
Okay, then, thank you, Woodrow. My next question is for you, Seamus. I'm wondering what the immigration process was like coming here to the U.S.
Well, there were about 24 million of us. You see, we were all from southern and eastern Europe. That's where we're from.
All right, thank you, Seamus. My next question is for you, Woodrow. I'm wondering about the inventions during the early 1900s.
Two big inventions during the early 1900s would have to be in 1901, the electric typewriter was invented, and in 1904, the first comic book came out.
All right, then. Well, thank you guys very much for coming on my show. It's been a pleasure meeting you. Have a good day, Seamus.
See you later.
Well, that would conclude our episode of 1865 to the 1920s on the Devan Cohen Show. I'll see you next time. Hi, and welcome to the 1920s edition of the Devan Cohen Show. We have two special guests for you today. A prohibition officer. Hello, welcome to the show. And, of course, Henry Ford, inventor of the car. Nice to meet you,
What's
Mr.
up?
Ford. Please take a seat. All right, then. My first question is for you, Mr. Prohibition Officer. I'm wondering what Prohibition was like in the 1920s.
Well, Prohibition was brought about by the 18th Amendment, which prohibited the manufacture, consumption, and use of alcohol. But still, there's lots of bootlegging, which is illegally selling alcohol along as many speakeasies, and that's where me and my force try to crack down on the speakeasies.
All right, thank you. My next question is for you, Henry Ford. I'm wondering what the automobile industry was up to in the 1920s.
Oh, it's absolutely great. Sales are going way up, and the Model T is out. Now you guys can all buy cars, like the poor people.
Oh, so you're making cars more
hold on.
affordable for everybody. Very
It's
great to
Henry
support.
Ford here. Please hold. I'm in an interview. Goodbye. What's your question, sir?
All right, then. Thank you, Mr. Ford. All right, so that concludes this episode of the 1920s. Thank you, Mr. Prohibition Officer. Mr. Ford, it's been a pleasure.
Rolling out.
All right, before we conclude this episode, on a side note, the radio is helping to connect people everywhere. The first thing aired on the radio was the presidential inauguration. This concludes the 1920s episode of the Devan Cohen Show. Thank you all for watching. Yo, my name is Devin, and I came here to ball. I'm next to Alex Wallace, and he's really tall. The 70s were great, except for Kent State. The guards killed 4 in protest and war. There was a Watergate scandal where Nixon was bad, trying to cover up crime, and that's not rad. But Nixon was good to the end of the war. No more deaths and none. That's what I fight for. It's time for the 80s until right now. We're talking about Bush Sr. The man was alright. He took us into Panama and helped us to fight. Next came Clinton, he was well-liked, president in a prosperous time, so his term was alright. George Bush started the war on terror. Consider his whole term now.
FDR, Franklin Delano, are married to a woman named Eleanor. Responsible for the New Deal, he convinced the public he could walk without wheels. World War II included both Pearl Harbor and D-Day, which showed everyone the U.S. wasn't there to play. Then there was containment, which tried to stop communism spreading. It also caused a lot of bedwetting. The Iron Curtain separated countries with different beliefs, north from south and west from east.
U.S. is in the Cold War, and our defenses are not up to par. During these times, you gotta come forward, cause if you don't, you might be thrown off a platform. Women were the homemakers, and they were your personal bakers. Then came civil rights, And boy, were there a lot of sites like Emmett Till and Rosa Parks. These people were lighting sparks. Elected in 1960s at JFK, but then he got killed. That's not okay. The Cuban Missile Crisis wasn't very fun until the Soviets stopped, or we'll take out the guns. Then came LBJ, replacing the JFK.